Good evening. We're back. I'm Lynn Ruff, your VFW Programs Director. Our master ceremonies for this evening is a comrade you all know. Please join me in welcoming a great veterans advocate and the Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Comrade Al Lippard.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 22nd Annual VFW and Auxiliary Parade of Winners, featuring our Voice of Democracy and Patriot's Pen winners. Tonight, I have the privilege of being the Master of Ceremonies for this exciting event. At this time, I would ask that everyone please stand as I call on National Chaplain Deborah Halter for the invocation, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Comrade Chaplain.
Good evening, fellow comrades, our outstanding auxiliary, along with our VOD winners and their families. Please join me in prayer as far as your faith and traditions allow. Almighty God, we thank you for allowing us to be here this fine evening. We know we are privileged to share our time with our Voice of Democracy winners and their supportive family team. We are honored, Lord, to have so many successful students in our presence with us tonight, who we pray will keep America strong well into our future. We ask, Lord, your blessings on each of these state winners, who we recognize as the best of our nation. Our future looks bright, Lord, because of them. Bless each one of them on their way. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Before these young men and women are presented, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our distinguished guests seated on the stage and the hosts of this evening's event. First, a man whose dedication and service to our great country prompted his election to lead this great organization, a position he fulfills with dignity, humility, integrity, and courage. The Chief's theme, "Every Veteran Counts," has renewed our commitment and focused our organization as we continue into this new millennium. From serving our country in the United States Army as a military intelligence non-commissioned officer in Iraq to the esteemed office he holds today, his thoughtfulness and determination have inspired us as we continued our service to country through membership in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and in the Auxiliary. It is indeed a high honor and a distinct privilege for me to introduce the Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Tim Borland. Hands that serve, hearts that care is more than just a slogan selected for the VFW Auxiliary this year. To the more than 470,000 auxiliary members, it represents the heart of their commitment to veterans and the nation they love. We're pleased to have with us tonight the woman who selected that theme and has led our wonderful VFW Auxiliary since last July. It is my pleasure to present the National President of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary, Jane Reep. And seated in the audience, our National Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary officers, our Council of Administration, past National Commanders-in-Chief, and past Auxiliary Presidents. Please stand to be recognized. If it appears that I can't see you out there, it's because I can't see you out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to take a moment to introduce a great friend to the Veterans of Foreign Wars who's with us here this evening. Mr. Prasad Reddy, will you please join me on the stage? More than 3 decades ago, this gentleman completed his American naturalization ceremony and pledged to return the kindness, support, and encouragement he received from the VFW members who welcomed him to America with broad smiles and a copy of the U.S. Constitution. He has fulfilled that pledge tenfold. As president and CEO of Twisted X Boots, Mr. Prasad Reddy continues to give back to the VFW and those we exist to serve, most recently signing Twisted X Boots on as the title sponsor of the Voice of Democracy and Patriot's Pen Trip. It's due to this generosity that all our award winners here in D.C. with us for this important occasion and are able to visit many of the attractions and our nation's capital has to offer. Please thank you for being a valued friend to the VFW, and please accept this plaque on behalf of our grateful organization.
Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Prasad Reddy, Twisted X. In grateful recognition and sincere appreciation of your dedication in supporting the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Voice of Democracy program. Through your actions, students who became the Voice of Democracy winners in their state were given a step up to begin their next level of education through the sponsorship of the Voice of Democracy program the last 5 years. In doing this, your generosity has given these students confidence. There are others, and they're willing to assist them in their journey. Your extraordinary commitment to the program reflects proud ideals of the high standards of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States and its auxiliary. Thank you, and witness whereof we hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, signed Timothy M. Borland, Commander-in-Chief, Dan West, Adjutant General. If I can have Jane Reep come up here too, we're going to present this to Prasad. Ready? If you can come over here, sir.
Sir? please.
Well, whenever I see this crowd, whenever I come here, I don't have any words to say. There are no words to describe my feeling. It's such an awesome sight to see all of you who served the country without any hesitation, without any totally supporting. So it's a privilege and honor for me and our group to be a small part of this. And again, to see all these young students, our future leaders, how I read or listened to the top 11, and how the thought process, the research they have done for the topic, Every Veteran Counts, is incredible. This says a lot for the future of the country. And I thank you very much for letting me be part of this special occasion. Thank you.
On behalf of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Voice of Democracy program, we are going to give Prasad Reddy a Voice of Democracy jacket.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Tonight, we will recognize the national winner in the 26th Annual Patriots Pen Contest and witness the final result of our annual Voice of Democracy competition. The culmination of another successful year in the Voice of Democracy program's long 76-year history. The Voice of Democracy program is sponsored jointly by the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary and provides an exemplary opportunity for high school students to think, write, and articulate their thoughts on freedom and democracy. Why is the veteran important was the theme for this year's Voice of Democracy program. It asks the students to reflect on their feelings about their country's future. I now ask the Commander-in-Chief and the National President to come forward to center stage and prepare to welcome all of tonight's outstanding winners. Before we officially begin, I have 3 requests. In fairness to everyone in this large and enthusiastic crowd, we would appreciate your courteous attention to the introduction of the winners and the department officers. Please do not block any or in any way interfere with the duties of our staff photographer. Pictures are, of course, allowed and encouraged, but please take your pictures from the areas immediately to my right or left of the stage. Remember, the students, auxiliary presidents, and department commanders will be available after the program for additional pictures. I call on past Commander-in-Chief Ed Baines to begin the processional of this year's winners.
Commander-in-Chief, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, may we present to you the first place National Patriots Pen winner from the Department of Wisconsin, Leighton Peters, escorted by Commander Michelle Rathke and Auxiliary President Faith Elford. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may we present our National Voice of Democracy winners. From the Department of Alabama, Lily Poling, escorted by Commander Tammy Johnson and Auxiliary President Nancy Rathburn. From the Department of Alaska, Emma Kehoe, escorted by Commander Troy Eck and Auxiliary Member Ann Eck. And from the Department of Arizona, Vivian Chang, escorted by Commander Michael Kemery and Auxiliary President Jeanette DeBoard. And from the Department of Arkansas, Erica Armstrong, escorted by Commander Jeffrey Bird and Auxiliary Member Amanda Pipkin. And from the Department of California, Mia Dominguez, escorted by Commander Martin Yingling and Auxiliary President Mary Krutz. And from the Department of Colorado, Amara Fancher, escorted by Commander Jerry Rimpley and Auxiliary President Ronald Boone. From the Department of Connecticut, Seaharth Bulusiu, escorted by Commander Mario Richards and Auxiliary Junior Vice President Kathy Fleischhauer. And from the Department of Delaware, Allison McLean, escorted by Commander Russ Hall and Auxiliary President Kathleen Haig. From the Department of Europe, Anna Galliano, escorted by Commander Angelo Aldridge. And from the Department of Florida, Paul Gurney III, escorted by Commander Ronald Mills, and streaming live from Florida, Auxiliary President Cindy Estelle, who could not be with us tonight due to a family emergency. From the Department of Georgia, Aiden Smalley, escorted by Commander Dean Rakowski and Auxiliary President Patricia Dobbins. And from the Department of Hawaii, Connor Worthen, escorted by Commander Frank Bragg and Auxiliary Member Suzanne Bragg. And from the Department of Idaho, Julia Grimaldo, escorted by Commander Bobby Tettleton and Auxiliary Member Joseph Tettleton. From the Department of Illinois, Andrew Kula, escorted by Commander Bobby Edwards, and Auxiliary Post 10,302 member Marilyn Miller. And from the Department of Indiana, Haley Bach, escorted by Commander Richard Lair and Auxiliary President Harriet Figg. And from the Department of Iowa, Wyatt Baldwin, escorted by Commander Ron Lieber. And from the Department of Kansas, Madeline Heigert, escorted by Commander Jim Ratcliffe and Auxiliary President Carol Gooden. And from the Department of Kentucky, McKenna Potts, escorted by Commander Nate Sisko and Auxiliary President Barbara Doherty. From the Department of Louisiana, Dalton Haydell, escorted by Commander Don Reber and Auxiliary President Mary Johnson. And from the Department of Maine, Hunter Edson, escorted by Commander Jennifer Lane and past Department Auxiliary President Lynn Dutton. From the Department of Maryland, Ian Chung, escorted by Commander Brian Langford and Auxiliary President Wayne LaFleur. From the Department of Massachusetts, Gina Wisbowski, escorted by Commander Michael Raymond and Auxiliary President Lisa Jackson. And from the Department of Michigan, Jack Nelson, escorted by Commander John Griffith and Auxiliary President Diana Ward. And from the Department of Minnesota, Siri Corson, escorted by Commander Dale Hogovan and Auxiliary President Sonia Tague. And from the Department of Mississippi, Cameron Robertson, escorted by Commander Louis George and VFW Post Commander 12172 from Terra Rivers, Mississippi. From the Department of Missouri, Jude Wyant, escorted by Commander Royce Keeble and Auxiliary President Judy Northcutt. And from the Department of Montana, Taryn Lodge, escorted by Commander Jeffrey Shep. From the Department of Nebraska, Holly Wilson, escorted by Commander Jeff Baker and Auxiliary President Vicki Luby. From the Department of Nevada, Rosa LaRochelle, escorted by Commander Danielle Sanders and Auxiliary President Renee Thayer. From the Department of New Hampshire, Anna Bittner, escorted by Commander Leon Rideout and Auxiliary President Dorothea Matson. And from the Department of New Jersey, Kavya Venkatesan, escorted by Commander Jay Boxwell and Auxiliary President Noreen Lakaushi. from the Department of New Mexico, Arwen Cheng, escorted by Commander Chris Archuleta and Auxiliary President Dominique Garcia. From the Department of New York, Oliva Wolber, escorted by Commander Peter Pinelli and Auxiliary President Lisa Ripley. And from the Department of North Carolina, Naomi Park, escorted by Commander Tim Woods and Auxiliary President Connie Holtz. And from the Department of North Dakota, Gracie Raschenberger, escorted by Commander Thomas Turek. And from the Department of Ohio, Arwen Zhang, escorted by Commander John Green and Auxiliary Department Chaplain Becky Abbott. From the Department of Oklahoma, Camden Bruce, escorted by Commander Jeremy Owen and Auxiliary President Marcia Jan Connolly. From the Department of Oregon, Lucille Booth, escorted by Commander Alan Anderson and Auxiliary Senior Vice President Debbie Little. And from the Department of Pacific Areas, Maribel Sykes, escorted by VFW National Inspector General Sean Watson. And from the Department of Pennsylvania, Charlie Kurtz, escorted by Commander Henry Manella and Auxiliary President Valerie DeCorte. And from the Department of Rhode Island, Elizabeth Cody, escorted by Commander Tiger Patrick and Auxiliary President Erica Westbrook. From the Department of South Carolina, Zoe Hughes, escorted by Commander Ed Stefanik and Auxiliary President Beth Tufts. And from the Department of South Dakota, Jennifer Barnett, escorted by Commander Thomas Hafner and Auxiliary President Patricia Mitchell. And from the Department of Tennessee, Scotland Stewart, escorted by Commander Jim Irving and Auxiliary President Mildred Murphy. And from the Department of Texas, Nikki Norton, escorted by Commander Lynn Toomer and Auxiliary President Jeanette Lumpkin. From the Department of Utah, Elizabeth Hooper, escorted by Commander Farrell Curtis and Auxiliary President Wendy Griffin. From the Department of Vermont, Amelia Partlow, escorted by Commander Richard Campbell and Auxiliary President Gordon Brown. From the Department of Virginia, John McGraw, escorted by Commander Godfrey Leister and Auxiliary President Fred Jennings.
Yes, sir.
From the Department of Washington, Natalie DeMarco, escorted by Commander Paul Herrera and Auxiliary President Joan Murphy Nyhart. And from the Department of West Virginia, Corey Bowers, escorted by Commander Corina Bogus and Auxiliary President Diana Hudson. From the Department of Wisconsin, Samuel L. Edel, escorted by Commander Michelle Rathke and Auxiliary President Faith Elford. From the Department of Wyoming, Grace Capelli, escorted by Commander Danielle Smith and past Department Auxiliary President Jan Miller. And from Puerto Rico, Dali Parmoda, escorted by VFW Adjutant General Dan West and National VFW Auxiliary Secretary Treasurer Ann Pantelikas.
Ladies and gentlemen and contestants, it is again an honor and a privilege for me to call upon and introduce to you the Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Tim Borland, and the National President of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary, Jane Reep.
We take a great deal of pride in knowing that our Voice of Democracy program has now completed its 76th year. Under our joint sponsorship, the program has continued to prosper. The Voice of Democracy program now awards 65 national scholarships for a total of $154,000.
It is time to announce this year's full list of national winners. Jane and I now request the VFW National Programs Chairman, John Archuleta, and the National VFW Auxiliary Legislative Ambassador, Bobby Goldman, to please come forward to announce this year's National Scholarship recipients.
Okay, here comes the best part. Time to make it rain.
The program competition provides 65 scholarships for the 52 department winners. The following national scholarships are all $1,000 scholarships. These awards are named by the name of the scholarship.
Please note that these $1,000 scholarships are announced in random order. I ask each student to come forward as they are announced for a photo with the Commander-in-Chief and the National President. They will be given a citation to hold for their photo. The Mr. and Mrs. John Bajetsky and the 2015 Homecoming Committee Scholarship is awarded to Nikki Norton, Department of Texas.
The Commander-in-Chief, Richard L. Eubank, and the 2010-2011 Department Commander's Scholarship is awarded to Jack Nelson from the Department of Michigan.
Department of Mississippi, Toxie K. Stapleton, Post 6473, Luther J. Cox Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Vivian Chang, Department of Arizona.
The Department of Tennessee, Cooper T. Holt, John Fergus Scholarship is awarded to Wyatt Baldwin from the Department of Iowa.
The Ray Sisk Memorial Scholarship, California, is awarded to Haley Bach, Department of Indiana.
The Department of Mississippi VFW and Auxiliary Bernard McClellan Memorial Scholarship is awarded to John McGraw from the Department of Virginia.
The Department of Idaho and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Aiden Smalley, Department of Georgia.
The Department of Hawaii and its Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Erica Armstrong from the Department of Arkansas.
The Department of Florida John M. Jack Carney Scholarship is awarded to Kivaya Venkatisan, Department of New Jersey.
The Department of Nevada and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Arwen Chang from the Department of New Mexico. Or Chang, sorry.
The Department of Kansas and Auxiliary Robert R. Whipple Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Arwen Zhang, Department of Ohio.
The Gilbert N. Nelson Post 1326 and their auxiliary Bismarck, North Dakota Scholarship goes to Amara Fancher from the Department of Colorado.
The Department of Maine Scholarship to remember the USS Maine is awarded to Allison McLean, Department of Delaware.
The Department of Pennsylvania Joseph L. Vasides Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Emma Kehoe from the Department of Alaska.
The Arthur W. Jones, VFW Post 7564, and Auxiliary Scholarship, North Dakota, is awarded to Lily Poling, Department of Alabama.
The Roy Chandler VFW Post 762 and Auxiliary Scholarship of North Dakota is awarded to Jude Wyant from the Department of Missouri.
The Department of Wyoming on Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Connor Worthen, Department of Hawaii.
I guess he didn't want it.
The $1,500 Department of Arkansas and its auxiliary Les Thorne Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Maribel Sykes from the Pacific areas.
The $1,500 Department of Colorado and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Rosa La Rochelle, Department of Nevada.
The $1,500 Department of Massachusetts Edward A. Nardi Scholarship is awarded to Holly Wilson from the Department of Nebraska.
The $1,500 Department of New Mexico and its auxiliary scholarship is awarded to Hunter Edson, Department of Maine.
The $1,500 Department of Missouri and Auxiliary Scholarship goes to Lucille Booth from the Department of Oregon.
The $1,500 Department of New Hampshire Scholarship is awarded to Charlie Kurtz, Department of Pennsylvania.
The $1,000 Friedley VFW Post 363 and Auxiliary Scholarship from Minnesota, and the $1,000 Department of Michigan and Auxiliary Scholarship totaling $2,000 is awarded to Amelia Partlow from the Department of Vermont.
The $1,000 Juanito Crow Durbono Department of Tennessee Scholarship and the $1,000 Irving and Lorraine Rothenbuehler Scholarship, Maryland, totaling $2,000, is awarded to Zoe Hughes, Department of South Carolina.
The $1,000 All-American Post 284 Scholarship and the $1,000 Bernard J. Michaels Post 9610 and Auxiliary Scholarship from Florida, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Elizabeth Cody from the Department of Rhode Island.
The $1,000 Larry W. Rivers Scholarship, Louisiana, and the $1,000 Department of Illinois Scott Post 4183 Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Taryn Lodge, Department of Montana.
The $1,000 Department of Connecticut and Auxiliary Scholarship and the $1,000 Stephen and Elise Riordan Memorial Scholarship from New Jersey, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Andrew Kula from the Department of Illinois.
The $1,000 Department of Georgia R.D. Bulldog Smith Jr. Scholarship and the $1,000 Department of Ohio Chester Cook Memorial Scholarship totaling $2,000 are awarded to Natalie DeMarco, Department of Washington.
The $1,000 Department of Alabama Scholarship and the $1,000 Department of Georgia James H. Sloppy Floyd Memorial Scholarship totaling $2,000 are awarded to Julia Grimaldo from the Department of Idaho. That's what it said.
The $1,000 Mr. and Mrs. James H. Black Scholarship, North Carolina, and the $1,000 Jane Young Memorial Scholarship, Ohio, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Ian Chung, Department of Maryland.
The $1,000 Walter and Doris Marshall Memorial Scholarship from Montana and the $1,000 Southern Conference Scholarship totaling $2,000 are awarded to Grace Capelli from the Department of Wyoming.
The $1,000 Francis Tallman Memorial Scholarship and the $1,000 Robert A. Stock Memorial Scholarship, New York, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Samuel Adell, Department of Wisconsin.
The $2,000 Department of Kentucky and Auxiliary Brian Duffy and Marion Watson Scholarship is awarded to Madeline Heigert from the Department of Kansas.
The $2,000 Department of Wisconsin Wally Hogan, Tom Tradewell Commanders-in-Chief Scholarship is awarded to Siddharth Bulusu, Department of Connecticut.
The $2,000 Department of Illinois VFW Ray Sodden George Kramer Scholarship is awarded to Cameron Robertson from the Department of Mississippi.
The $2,000 Department of California and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Dalton Heidel, Department of Louisiana.
The $2,000 Department of Arizona and Auxiliary Harry A. Kost Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Dolly Promota from the Department of Puerto Rico.
The $2,000 Silver Spring Memorial Post 2562 Scholarship, Maryland, is awarded to Paul Gurney III, Department of Florida.
The $2,000 Jesse A. Lewis Memorial Scholarship Award, California, is awarded to Jennifer Barnett from the Department of South Dakota.
The $2,500 Troy and Sandy Rothbart Memorial Scholarship, New York, is awarded to Naomi Park, Department of North Carolina.
The 2,500 Daniel Sean Wallace Memorial Scholarship, New Jersey, is awarded to Ann Bittner from the Department of New Hampshire.
The $3,000 Joseph and Irene Hansen Memorial Scholarship, Maryland, is awarded to Olivia Wolber, Department of New York.
The 3,500 Class 122 Department Commanders and Department of Department of Illinois and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Corey Bowers from the Department of West Virginia.
The $3,500 Department of New York and Auxiliary Reverend Albert G. Solomon Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Grace Rossenberger, Department of North Dakota.
The $4,000 Department of Minnesota William F. Halsey Memorial Scholarship is awarded to McKenna Potts from the Department of Kentucky.
The $3,000 Department of Indiana an Auxiliary Scholarship and the $1,000 Department of New Jersey Howard E. Vanderkloot Memorial Scholarship totaling $4,000 are awarded to Camden Bruce, Department of Oklahoma.
The $5,000 Rehoboth Beach Post 7447 and Auxiliary Department of Delaware Scholarship is awarded to Elizabeth Hooper from the Department of Utah. So I'll call the four up and you can read the winner. Oh.
The $5,000 Floyd County VFW Post 3281 New Albany, Indiana Scholarship are awarded to Anna Galliano, Department of Europe. That's it, folks. That's our program. Drive safe. Oh, no, there's another page. There's another page here.
Now, would the following department winners please come forward to center stage? Department of Minnesota. Department of Massachusetts. Department of Tennessee. Department of California. Fourth place, $7,000 Leroy Moorhead Memorial Scholarship, named for former heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman's late father, is awarded to Mia Dominguez, Department of California. Third place, $15,000 VFW scholarship is awarded to Gina Rizboski, Department of Massachusetts.
Does she get to keep it or no?
She can take it back to her seat.
Now, as we allow the tension to build, I think we're going to take a 15-minute break. No, never mind. Now, as we allow the tension to build, second place, $21,000 Charles Kuralt Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Siri Corson, Minnesota. And then there was one. First place, $35,000 Veterans of Foreign Wars T.C. Solomon Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Scotland Stewart, Department of Tennessee. It's a VFW tradition to present our Commander-in-Chief and National President with a Voice of Democracy jacket. In addition, we are presenting each of them with a copy of the commemorative book containing the students' signed pictures and their essays.
I don't know if it fits.
Zip it up.
Suck it in. Oh, now I'm warm.
Now, as we allow our Voice of Democracy first place winner to settle his nerves, I would like to present the 2022-2023 National First Place winner of our Patriots Pen Essay Contest to read her winning essay based on the theme, My Pledge to Our Veterans. Leighton Peters is the recipient of the $5,000 North End Post 144 Paul A. Spera Past Commander-in-Chief Award. Please welcome Leighton, sponsored by VFW Post 2204 from the Department of Wisconsin.
And now It's your turn.
My pledge to our veterans. A veteran is a person who has given their time and talent to our country as part of the United States military. Veterans have all made sacrifices and served our country, and many have fought for our freedom and risked their lives. These facts often go unnoticed, and sadly, veterans can be forgotten and unappreciated. Other times, veterans may be considered heroes. This may be based on their big muscles, tall stature, the uniform they are wearing, or the array of medals they have earned. The veteran I consider a hero looks a little different than this. He has white hair, tells funny jokes, makes the best pancakes, and gives amazing hugs. My veteran hero is my grandpa. My veteran hero has gentle hands that picked me up when I was little, turned pages as he read me bedtime stories, and held my hand as he walked me to the park. It is unbelievable that my own grandpa's gentle hands are the same hands that gripped an M16 assault rifle in the Vietnam War as he put his life on the line for our country. This sparked a realization that a veteran is not only a war hero or military figure, but they are human too. They are courageous, strong, honorable, and brave men and women who also double as fathers, mothers, siblings, grandparents, cousins, neighbors, and workers. My grandpa's Vietnam War stories taught me what sacrifice looks like. Watching my grandpa become emotional when he hears the Star-Spangled Banner taught me what patriotism looks like. Out of respect and gratitude, I pledge to honor my grandpa and other veterans for the service they have given to our country. I pledge to honor them by standing up and putting my hand over my heart when our national anthem is played, thanking veterans for their service, sending cards to veterans on Veterans Day, donating money to causes that support veterans, honoring the American flag, and volunteering at hospitals and nursing homes for veterans. President Kennedy, a World War II veteran, said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." My grandpa gave so much for our country. Through my pledge to my grandpa and our veterans, I am doing something special for my country too.
Thank you, Leighton. Well done. Now to read his winning essay. I'm very pleased to present to you, representing VFW Post 1893, Estelle Springs from the Department of Tennessee, our first place Voice of Democracy winner, Scotland Stewart.
Well, it is an absolute honor to be up here tonight. I can't believe this is happening. I did not expect it at all. I just want to thank every single person for coming out here tonight. I want to thank my family for driving all the way from Tennessee. I want to congratulate every person on this stage for making it to the national level. I think this is an amazing opportunity. So again, I just want to thank everybody for this amazing opportunity. And I want to start my speech off with 4 words: honor, integrity, loyalty, and service. These are simple words to most of us, but to our nation's veterans, these are their core values in life. These words sustain them as they defended us. With many organizations and charities like the Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Stars for Stripes, taking rise across the nation in the past few years, many may sit back and wonder, why are veterans important? What significance do they hold within our nation? Why should we expend so much effort to so few people? Like trophies in a case, pictures in a frame, or statues in a museum, veterans serve as a key living piece of remembrance of our nation's history. Their lasting battle wounds tell stories of war. Their scars resemble our nation's fight for freedom. And their medals represent their lasting commitment to defending America. With revisionists attacking our nation's history and inalienable rights, veterans provide the personal stories of valor and sacrifice that remind the next generations of the true positive impact their service to America has had. These courageous men and women literally placed their lives on the line in an effort to eliminate foreign threats against our nation, something most others do not have the ability to comprehend or declare. Veterans do this, not for fame or fortune, but for America and her future generations. In a day when our nation's children and young adults turn to entertainers and celebrities as their potential role models, veterans serve as a moral compass of the virtues of sacrifice and giving to a greater cause. Our veterans' sacrifices represent loyalty, integrity, and honor, and their service to our nation should not be ignored. Unfortunately, in America, respect and remembrance of our veterans has declined beyond an acceptable level. The plight of our veterans, once returning home, is disgraceful. An estimated 1 out of every 4 homeless men have served in the U.S. military, and over 500,000 veterans each year remain without a home. Every single day in America, 22 veterans commit suicide. Unfortunately, because of shameful truths like these, those willing to step forward and serve our nation are becoming more rare. The percentage of Americans who can claim veteran status has declined from 18% in 1980 down to 7% in 2018. With the sacrifices these brave men and women have made for our nation, those statistics are unacceptable. To have to live under these conditions and remain unrecognized and uncelebrated after doing something that requires a supreme amount of bravery and integrity should embarrass our politicians and should instill guilt on those who have done nothing to help with the cause. Although these statistics show the negativity occurring towards our nation's veterans, they highlight just how important it is to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. So why are veterans important? Brave men and women fight the battles abroad so that we do not have to fight here at home. They provide the very liberty that allows us to enjoy the rights guaranteed in our Constitution while placing themselves in harm's way to do so. Imagine waking up every single day knowing that day may be your last, having no certainty of survival, with the possibility of being involved in a battle that may leave you dead or permanently injured. Consider constantly wondering if you will ever see your spouse or your children again. Understand that in order to return to the safety of your own home, you must first survive an enemy assault intended to kill you. This horrifying scenario is the daily life of an active duty military member. In a day and age where we bow down to singers and athletes, the very least we can do is thank and respect those who place themselves in said scenarios. We as a society should contribute to causes and charities that help our nation's veterans, as well as vote for individuals that prioritize the needs of those who selflessly sacrifice their lives for us. Veterans of the United States military are important because they risk their lives on the battlefield so that we can safely live ours in the shadow of peace. In return, we owe them the same honor, integrity, loyalty, and service we receive from them in defense of our nation. Thank you all very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Scotland. Well done, and congratulations to you and all of our winners. Next year's theme will be launched on our website and the new VFW Scholars app tomorrow. The Patriot's Pen theme is, how are you inspired by America? And the Voice of Democracy theme is, what are the greatest attributes of our democracy? Ladies and gentlemen, please remain at your seats until all the students have left the stage. Students, please file forward down the steps and join your respective department commander and auxiliary president. That concludes our Youth Scholarship Program for 2022-2023. Please feel free to join your department officers in congratulating all these wonderful young students. Again, they will be available for the next 30 minutes for pictures. Thank you for joining us here this evening.